Greetings. I stopped watching the news about 3 or 4 years ago. I just realized that the news in general made me feel bad. There's no such thing really as a lot of good news. Most of the news is bad. Someone's been killed. Some politicians are doing some bad things. The economy stinks. You can't eat regular food. So there's a lot of bad stuff in the news. So I stopped watching it on TV. I basically stopped reading it, as far as going looking for it. Unfortunately, because I am on social media, every once in a while you still see a story here and there and stuff inflames you. And, there you go. Now, I also learn a lot, so it's hard to, totally keep yourself away from stuff that bothers you. But you can hide. I mean, basically my wife isn't on social media. She actually has a LinkedIn page, but someone else created it for her for his own reasons. She doesn't have a password for it. There's no picture up, but she's nowhere else on social media. So in essence, she's hiding. She doesn't want to get on. Not even on Pinterest. Even though she loves going on and looking at the pictures, she does not have an account. So it's hard to tell people, well, you can't hide from real life. Actually, you can. You can be a recluse. You can recluse. I don't know. Recluse, I don't know. Anyhow, you can basically stay in your house. Or you can go shopping. I mean, I have a grocery store. We share a backyard. I can go there at 1, 2 in the morning, or at least I could before we moved my mother in, but I could go there. There's almost nobody there. No one's paying attention to you. They're open 24/7, except on holidays, a couple of holidays. So you really can be a recluse. You can stay away from anything. You don't have to turn on the TV. Matter of fact, I think I turned on the TV tonight to watch a basketball game. For the first time I've turned that TV on in the longest time. So yes, you can hide unless you are in a leadership position. If you're in a leadership position, you can't hide. You may think you can, but you can't hide. Many years ago, I was working at a community health center here in the Syracuse area, and this guy comes in as a vice president of revenue cycle. And his first day there, he comes in. I basically faced his office, or what was going to be his office. He comes in, he gives me a look. He doesn't acknowledge me. He doesn't say hello. He just looks at me. He goes in the office, closes the door. And the director of the department, after about a half hour, she comes and she looks at me and she points at the door. And I said, but she didn't know him. He hadn't gone around and introduced himself to anybody, so she didn't bother him. Finally, after about almost 3 hours, the executive director of the health center came and knocked on the door. Well, actually, he looked at me. Mr. Mitchell is Mr. Roberts or Robertson. I can't remember the guy's name now. Goodness, was it Roberts? Robertson? Who cares? We didn't get along, so I don't care. Anyway, yeah, Mr. Mitchell, is he in there? I said, yes, he is. So he knocks on the door. The guy has to get up and come to the door. Oh, doctor, please come in. There you go. And this guy, basically, for the time I was there, spent almost all of his time in his office with the door closed. He was the top guy in our department. He never came out to talk to anybody unless he had to come out just for maybe 3 or 4 minutes to chastise somebody and then go back in. He actually tried to pull one on me once, but one of these mistakes that people sometimes make is they don't know how people got into a position or their skill sets. And this is a different story for another time, but let's just say I shut him down and showed him that his position of power meant nothing in the course of time. We'll just get that out of the way. Anyway, this was a guy who basically stayed in his office. He was supposed to be the leader of the department, but he was not leading. And pretty much after I left, I went to another hospital, took up my own leadership position. He only lasted maybe 5 or 6 months, and then he was gone. He was out of there. Because if you're not going to lead, but you're in a leadership position, you're of no use to anybody. You can't hide in your desk. You can't hide in your office. You can't hide behind your papers. You can't hide behind your title. Maybe you think you can, but you can't. The executive director, for instance, this is a guy who understood the balance 50-50. he would come out and he would go around and talk to people. And everyone was either Mr., Miss, or Mrs. I mean, he just knew everybody who worked there. And this is just how he was taught. He was very open. Now, it turns out there were some other things in the background, but you know what? He was never nothing but nice to me. And I appreciated that. And he encouraged people who worked there, except maybe the, other directors and whatever, but that's a different story. Another different story I may have to talk about someday. But he was out of the office. And I'm not going to say I learned this from him because I was doing this beforehand when I was in leadership positions in other places. You have to be visible. You have to lead. You have to at least try to lead. You have to try to get along with people. If you try to hide, no one's going to work with you. No one wants to talk to you. Even if they want to talk to you, they don't want to talk to you. And you have no respect. You have no authority. You have nothing except the title. That's my lesson for today. Get out there. Lead. Don't try to hide. Lead. In your personal life, if you want to hide, do it. But if you take a leadership position, don't hide. Get out there. Mingle. I'm not saying be friends with anybody, but you have to be seen. You have to talk to people. People who report to you. You have to talk to them. You can't hide. That's what I have for you. Y'all have a wonderful week.